Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Hi everyone. Happy Monday.
Yeah, time is meaningless now.
All of the days are just blending in at once. Don't know
It's
what's
crazy.
happening.
How are you, Nikki Bell?
I'm good. I'm good.
You
I'm excited for Thursday. I wrapped up a big project today with an amazing charity, and I feel emotional but proud.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah, it's been a good
congratulations.
day. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Weird times. Yeah, just still getting to grips with all this and talking to a lot of people and trying to figure out what's going on with personal loved ones and stuff like this. So
Yeah.
it's weird times, but we're getting through it.
I know, like every fundraiser that I've spoken to has just felt like just this whole mix of emotions of bewilderment,
Mhm.
grief, just a kind of tiny spark of hope that makes you feel like, oh God, I can do this. And then, yeah, and then you get into it and you get stopped by something else. So I guess this is exactly what this session is for. So for anyone watching this, I'm Nikki Bell. Nice to meet you.
And I'm Simon Scriver. Also nice to meet you.
So we're the co-founders of Fundraising Everywhere, which, if you haven't heard of it yet, it's a virtual conference, social training platform where we bring amazing fundraisers, experts, and charities together to share expert tips. And we also connect with each other as well. So actually, this week we've just launched a open for all networking room, but we'll talk about that later. But on Thursday, we have partnered with Salesforce to put together a 6-hour 2-track conference where every session is being curated by amazing people specifically to help you find your way through COVID-19. And as well as the live event, which you can register for free at fundraisingeverywhere.com/COVID-19. There's also a bonus library. So during the conference, we'll be helping you navigate these unprecedented times. But then the bonus library will give you the tools and resources to actually know how to do what you need to do to get through, basically. And this session that we're about to share with you is one of the videos from the resource library. And before you go into it, Simon, just to say a massive thank you as well to everyone who's partnered with the conference. It's called Project Everyone. And basically other sector experts, conference and events providers have used their networks and links to provide content. So a huge thank you to Resource Alliance, Charity Digital, Charity Comms, Third Sector, Institute Fundraising, Face to Face International Congress, and I'm probably missing some. Michelle, yes. Just basically, if there's someone that that has given you something amazing at a conference, has probably contributed to this in some way as well. But we'll do that properly at the end.
And thank you, Nikki, because Nikki Bell has been working her butt off trying to pull all this together. Obviously, we've been trying to move really quickly and trying to make this available to as many people as possible for free on Thursday. So thanks, Nikki, for doing.
All right. That's why I love this trophy. 51%. No, it's I've never pulled a conference together like so fast. It's almost like unbelievable. But like I say, I didn't do it alone. There's other people helping. So yeah.
Can I say hi, because I actually think my mom is watching the live stream. So hello to my mom and my sister. Look, there's my sister Felicity.
Hey, Felicity.
So, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, hello, Mom. Hello, Felicity.
That's really cute.
Okay, shall we stop waffling and get into the session?
Yeah, sure. So this session is from Tereza Litsa, who is the social media manager and trainer at Lightful, and they help charities improve their social media skills, and that's exactly what Tereza Litsa is going to do for you now. She's been working as a social media and content marketing manager for the last 7 years. She's been running the Reclaim Social hashtag, which you will be aware of. And what she hasn't put in her bio, which I think is very important, is that she's just recently won an award. I think it's the best woman in digital. So just missed that out. I know,
Yes.
I know.
And I love that reclaim social thing. If you search hashtag reclaim social, it's been a long couple of weeks.
Hasn't it though?
But yeah, she does really great stuff. So I'm glad we've got one of her sessions as part of this COVID-19 event.
Yeah, and from Lightful as well, because they were big supporters of the very first Fundraising Everywhere, which was last year. I think they were one of the first partners, so it's nice to be able to showcase them. So in this session, basically, Tereza is going to be teaching us how to become digital focused during COVID-19, from using the right tools to being reactive and adaptive. It's all time for us to be more digital. So I'm going to hand it over to Tereza to share those digital skills, and then we'll see you back in half an hour, and let's have a chat.
Nice one.
Webinar on how to become more digital focused. My name is Tereza Litsa. I'm a social media and content marketing manager at Lightful, and I'm mostly delivering training, webinars, and writing all sorts of blogs around digital for charities and the nonprofit sector. And I'm part of Lightful the last 2.5 years now. I'm passionate about using social media for good, and I'm running the Reclaim Social community and podcast. And you will probably notice very soon that I love using GIFs. I also love using Twitter, and you can find me anytime, most of the day, really, at Tereza Litsa. So today we're going to talk about being more digital and the urgent need that we have now to be more digital focused. So we'll cover how to start being more digital focused with all the changes with coronavirus and the need to react. We look at some small changes in all areas to make your organization more digital. We look up some tools, how to improve your digital focus. And then we'll leave some bits for reflection and looking at the next steps. Hopefully you will be able to have some takeaway actions. There might be very practical small changes that you want to do, or it might be more about the strategy and the bigger picture. First of all, you probably remember, hopefully you do, life before coronavirus. It's not that far away, but it feels like really distant right now with the current situation that we are. Back then, we used to hear in the sector a lot the need to be more digital. Everyone was talking about it, I was talking about it, but then we know that there are always challenges, and it's not really easy to say all of a sudden, I want to be more digital. Or maybe we didn't really feel the urgency in the way we are now. So now we're just trying to adjust in a situation that everyone knows we have to be more digital. You don't really have a solution if you want to survive, if you want to try and save your services and all the vital work that you're doing, then you know that you have to be more digital. So then there's the question, how can you explore the digital world with a new lens? Even if you are already good at digital, how can you explore new opportunities? Or how does coronavirus and the whole crisis change your strategy? Everyone should have some sort of adjustment now, and it's more about exploring the best way to deal with the situation and just take it from there. So we are currently in a situation that we're part of two different worlds. There are organizations who are already digitally savvy, and this is probably a good stage to be. You can make the most of it now, and also it's a great way to help others and get them inspired on the things that they can do. But we also know that there are many organizations who are trying to catch up. They're still behind the latest digital trends, possibly for the resources, the budget, the time that they had. And it is the need now that you have to be more digital than ever. Don't worry, if you are in this stage, you don't need to panic really. It's easy to feel lost and just to start panicking, but it's better to think that actually now is the easiest time to get a buy-in to be more digital. If you had any problems in the past with your senior managers, stakeholders, anyone who was kind of cautious on being more digital and exploring more channels, then now is definitely the time to actually convince them that you have to be more digital. So we want to look at some starting points, how to become more digital focused in your charity, and actually how can you get started. First of all, we all know that our personal habits are already affected. We need to be more digital, and we're just trying to adjust with that. We start with a work-life balance. We're working from home and hopefully we're feeling healthy or at least in a good state to be able to work. And there is the need to actually find new working habits, a new routine, a way to balance with kids, pets, flatmates, and try to be productive. The attention span is also affected. We are always distracted by new things. And right now, with all the news, it's just easy to feel lost or distracted. And then there is the need to actually work smarter. You can really work harder right now, and it's perfectly fine to acknowledge that. But we need to find ways to be productive without necessarily working more. And a very important thing that's probably more important than ever right now, we need to take care of our mental health. It's the only way really to survive a really unknown situation and the feeling that we are confused, we don't know what's happening. And the best way to stay mindful on digital is to focus on your well being. It's not just your own well being, it's also your family, your friends, your colleagues. So it's more like a collaborative effort to just help each other as much as we can. And then it's also looking at your professional digital habits. How can you be more digital with your team? And obviously, you want to improve the collaboration because all of a sudden, everyone is working from home. Whether you used to that or not in the past, everyone needs to adjust. Online meetings are happening all the time. You need to find the best ways to stay in a silent and well lit place. You want to make sure that everyone is comfortable with that. You engage the team. And you also want to find a way to set office hours or else a way to work from home and stay productive, but also for your organization to have that break between work and life and how you can really get all your colleagues on board in that transition. A good way to start with being more digital for your organization is to run a digital health check. So, what is the digital health check? You need to answer some questions or kind of to review your channels and what you're using up to now in terms of digital engagement. For example, you want to look which channels are you active right now or how often do you use them? You might want to look at the performance and some measurement on that. What is the engagement on your channels? Are there some channels working better than others? Or how can you make the most of them right now? Do you currently measure your digital success, or is the time now to start looking at the ways to tell whether you're successful or not? There are many questions to involve in your digital health check, and it's actually important to remember that it doesn't have to be a long term strategy or something that's very time consuming, but it's still good to review all the ways you can be more digital, starting from where we are actually. Another way to do that, or just another term if you want to get into more detail, is to perform a digital audit. A digital audit doesn't have to be scary, and there are many areas that you can do that, but you don't necessarily need to do everything right now. But if you are interested, even in one of the areas, you can look at your website, your social channels, your emails, your blog, your SEO, or even your paid advertising. There are many areas and they might involve different teams that even if you're just one person on your own, you might want to have like a quick look to all your channels to see what your supporters are looking right now. What's the best way to make sure that you can be more digital focused without necessarily spending too much time right now updating every single thing. And then once you look at them, even at a quick glance, you know this is your current digital footprint. You know where you are, and it's getting easier, or at least some sort of easier method to just try and improve the next steps to get you to be a little bit better. Another way you can actually work with your team or even on your own to review where you are in terms of digital is to perform the so called SWOT analysis. This is an acronym and it's actually very fun and very useful. You just write down your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats in the current situation. So, for example, if you have to be more digital right now, you want to explore what your strengths are in terms of your digital channels, what are your weaknesses, but also to explore the opportunities and the threats. So, this would be a very handy exercise right now, even if it's just half an hour of exploring where you are and test your next steps. I think to remember when getting started with digital right now at this phase is that we know that we have to be reactive. You don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel, and it makes total sense to just see what others are doing and trying to get as engaging as possible. And at the end of the day, you want to find the best ways to help your organization. It's not necessarily about creating a whole new strategy right now, and nobody really has the time. Of course, we want to think ahead and we want to plan and be more proactive. But right now, we're still at the stage that we want to react and we want to help our organization as much as possible. And we also need to remember we need to set realistic expectations. We know that if we're not really digital, we can really get viral from one day to another. Or if we are already quite digital, we can't really get to 10 steps ahead. It's a very tricky period, and it's better to set smart goals that are quite realistic and a bit ambitious. And the most important thing right now is to focus on the small changes. You want to have an impact, but you can't necessarily make a big change without thinking of the unknown situation and where we are right now. A good way to actually work on that, if you also want to have another exercise and explore some new ideas, is to try out the prioritization matrix. This is actually very handy because you work based on the value and the effort for your organization to test new ideas. For example, if you think that you can start using Facebook more from now on, and it would really benefit your supporters, then this might not necessarily require too much effort because it's one channel. But if the value is high, then that's definitely a good idea because you feel that with maybe just one small change, you can really make a difference. If you explore something that might take more time and it doesn't necessarily have an instant value, then you might not to leave that aside and trying to set that for the next month or so. So now we're thinking, how can we be more digital focused in a more practical way? We're looking at different areas and how you can really make the most of each one of them, whether you're part of a small team or if you want just to share the slides with other team members and colleagues in your organization. What we need to remember, it's one change at a time. It's easy to say I want to be more digital, but we want to look at the practical changes and the small steps that they can really help us. It's not just about thinking ahead and having a big plan right now. It's more about helping each other, even with small changes. So we're starting with social media because they're probably the channels that many organizations are thinking in terms of coming closer with your supporters in a time that you have to be more digital. It's easy to feel that you want to increase your posting frequency, you want to be there every day as a way to feel closer to your supporters. But we also need to think that our supporters are just like us. They're probably overwhelmed right now. And having too many posts are probably not the best way to engage with them and stay connected. It's probably better to start with the channels that you've been using right now. You don't need to create 5 new accounts or try out TikTok or any other channels that you've never used. It will probably take too much time and you will need to build the audience from scratch. You want to create content that your supporters would appreciate right now. It's not just about scheduling a post that you've said, for example, last month and just repurpose it for the next month. You want to make sure that you are authentic and you have a genuine connection. It's good to think in general with social media, and that's always what I think right now. Create content that your supporters really want to see. It's a very tricky period and it's easy to get lost among all the messages. So think of your organization and the type of content that will really benefit your supporters. In terms of comms, it's probably a very busy period. And both in internal and external comms, it's used to have some sort of plan in mind. When we're thinking of internal comms, it's a challenging time. You want to get everyone informed and engaged. And you also need to adjust to a new period and a new kind of working. So it's definitely a good idea to stay active and communicate as much as possible, and also to try to help and hear everyone's need at this stage. In terms of the external comms, it's also again about communication, and you need to be open with the challenges that you're facing and what your supporters need to know. You probably need to have some sort of crisis comms plan in mind. And if you haven't created one, you can still have kind of like a quick crisis comms plan right now to see how you can really react on how you can plan ahead, even for the next week or month, and how you can keep your supporters engaged. We need to remember that business as usual is not really happening right now, and there is a change, and that should be reflected in comms and the wider messaging. Another area that needs to be reviewed is certainly marketing. You need to review your marketing strategy because there might be irrelevant campaigns. It might be something that doesn't really make sense right now, and you might want to update your messaging. Marketing can also be very useful right now to help other teams. You might want to collaborate with fundraising or events or anyone else really who needs your help and they want to be more digital right now. Fundraising is probably one of the busiest areas in your team and your organization. And we need to start by acknowledging that change is inevitable. All the physical events are now cancelled, and it might affect even quite significantly your income. So that's when you need to be more creative. You need to try and save the situation as much as possible, possibly to diversify the income. And there might be an emergency appeal if it's relevant to your organization to try to communicate your struggles and be open with your supporters. Digital fundraising will probably be more popular, and in case you haven't really tried it out, it's definitely a good way to experiment and try out, for example, Facebook fundraisers that are very popular, both for your organization and your supporters, or the Instagram donate button, or any other channels really that can help you raise more money for your organization. Service delivery is also affected by all the changes, and we know that there are changes now. The best way to deal with that is to focus more online and telephone support. It's probably going to be busy and your supporters will need your help. And you want to make sure you keep your information up to date. Make sure you look at your site, your social channels, your emails to stay updated and keep them as relevant as possible. Another way you can help with your supporter is to explore new ideas. You could have chatbots, you could have WhatsApp support, or even to run webinars. And many organizations are already doing that right now. When it comes to community building, there might be a case of already having online communities, and that is very fortunate. And if you're ready to take your communities online and make that transition, you need to be careful in terms of monitoring the conversations and keep everyone safe. You might want some sort of rules and someone to keep an eye on the conversations, but you also want to make sure that the community feels safe and welcome to actually express their thoughts and build relationships with each other. It's definitely a great opportunity to increase engagement. And the good thing with community building is that it can potentially have long-term value. If you're able to build a digital community, then you can keep that working for the next years ahead. So any work that you're actually doing right now in community building, it might definitely have long-term value. Events are also quite affected from all the changes now, and you have to focus now on virtual events. It's the time to try and explore new ideas. You want to understand the virtual facilitation and how you can keep the attendees engaged. It might be a whole new world, and of course, it's challenging because you need to understand how things work, how you can use the right tools, and how to do that as fast as possible. So that's definitely a big challenge. And luckily, there are many resources online from experts in virtual meetings and facilitation to try to understand how to run webinars and workshops online. When it comes to creating a virtual event, it might be good to plan in advance. You want to make sure you familiarize yourself with the tools. You want to allow time for promotion. And as with the physical events, you want to get everyone to learn more about that and get the time to actually join and feel part of that. When it comes to volunteering, there might be some changes and you want to get the community again online. You want to aim for online engagement and keeping everyone interested. And it's more important than ever, probably, to keep the volunteers connected to the cause. As we said with comms, it's important to keep them interested and to share as many updates as possible. And a good way to keep the volunteers engaged is to have a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group and try to share updates and get them to feel inspired to share ideas on their own. A thing you definitely need to keep in mind right now is you want to make sure that you protect your volunteers' mental health. It's a very challenging time and it's good to have the volunteering mindset, but you also want to make sure that nobody feels overwhelmed, that you're not asking too many things, and that there is some sort of guidance in place on how to help them as much as possible. So after looking at all the areas you can explore on small changes, we also want to have some digital tools to consider. There are loads of digital tools, and this webinar could be a whole new topic on all the tools you can use. So I just wanted to focus on 3-4 areas that you might want to explore right now. In terms of project management, you want to bring the team together, you want to organize your comms, your marketing, your content. So having some sort of project management tool is very useful. The image you might be seeing is Trello. It's one of my favorite tools because it helps me have everything in one place. As you can see, you have different tabs, you organize the lists, and you can even connect other people in your team to see what they're assigned and what the deadline is. There are many similar tools. There's Asana, Monday, Airtable, Notion, and there are loads of others. You can try them out, and most of them are free or have a free plan, so you don't necessarily need to spend time to organize your team. Online meetings are more popular than ever, and I was using Zoom for 2 years now, but it's just crazy how many times I hear the word Zoom the last few weeks. It's definitely very popular, and there was already a conversation on making it free for everyone. That's not confirmed yet, at least right now. But you can still have a free use of Zoom for meetings up to 40 minutes. So the conversation was potentially for the company to take off that limit. Even with this limitation, though, having a free meeting of up to 40 minutes is very useful, and it's a great way to keep the team engaged, to run webinars, and just to see what everyone's doing. There are loads of tools in terms of virtual meetings. There's Google Hangouts, there's Skype, there's GoToMeeting, and there's also Loom, which I really like. It allows you to record your screen, to have yourself talking, or just to make sure you have some screen capture video in case you want to share that. In terms of social media, it's probably a very busy time and you might not have the time to log into every platform to post your content. There are many social media management tools, and of course, I'm biased because I work for Lightful. But the good thing with Lightful compared with any other tool is that it was specifically created for charities. So you can schedule your social media posts, you can find storytelling templates, you can have a look at the Awareness Day calendar, and of course, you can look at the performance of your posts and even find the best time to post for every channel. There are also other tools. There's Buffer, there's Hootsuite, there's TweetDeck from Twitter, ContentCal, and many others, and most of them have a free plan that you can try out. In terms of design, we know that it's quite hard to create images, especially if you're not a designer or a professional photographer. And luckily, there are many tools to help you on that. Canva is probably the most popular option, and it also has a non-profit plan. There's also Pablo by Buffer, there's Adobe Spark, and many, many others that you can also create directly through your phone. So it's good to have a look and find the best tools that really help you create quick images. And then after looking at all the areas that we can work on, even to apply small changes, and the right tools that we can really use, it's time for reflection. we know that we need to have a short-term reaction. We also need to acknowledge that there is no perfect plan. When you set plan A, plan B, real life will always find a way to just mess things up. And we wouldn't really expect a month ago that we will be in the situation. And it should be a useful lesson for everyone that we're all just trying to adjust. It is a new situation and everyone is trying to find a way to survive, to find a way to make it through and see the new opportunities. So the first stage is to think of the short term. What can you really do and how can you make sure that you try to be effective even with small changes that can still make an impact? And then is the long-term planning. It's probably not the right time now to think ahead. You still need to process the situation. It's perfectly fine to pause and reflect. But at some point, when we get to grips with the situation, it's the time to think of the long-term planning. If you feel that, for example, in terms of fundraising or service delivery, you're not able to deliver the things that you wanted in the next 3-4 months, you might want to think of 2021. How will it look like? What are the potential changes? And of course, to the extent that we can predict, how can we plan ahead? What are the learnings that you can use from the situation and how you can be more prepared for any crisis comes, any way to help your volunteers and of course your supporters. It's definitely a very challenging time and we're all really not sure how to cope with that yet. But it's also an opportunity to learn from the whole experience. If we're able to make it through such a challenging situation and if we find ways to be more digital, then the benefits can be way bigger in terms of the long term. So we're looking at the takeaways. It's important to be able to have this webinar in mind and then have at least one takeaway that you can get started. So ideally, you want to be able to pick at least one action and have a way to implement that, even if it's next week or next month. You can run a digital health check. That could be just you taking notes, looking at your digital channels and the small changes that you can actually improve. You can try a new channel, try something that you've never used, or spend more time on a channel that you forgot in the past. You want to improve your virtual facilitation skills. It's something that is more important than ever. And we didn't necessarily have the opportunity to do that before. So now is the time to check webinars or read articles on how to be more effective on meeting facilitation. You might want to revise your comms marketing plan for the next month. If you schedule posts, for example, on social media, have a look if they're relevant. If you're sending out emails, look if the language is correct or if it's still useful for your supporters. And then at the personal level, it's also very useful to acknowledge the situation and make sure you take care of yourself. There isn't a best way to actually cope with everything. We're all dealing with that and we're trying to find a way to survive on a personal and professional level. And we want to make sure that we do take care of ourselves, both physically and mentally. So we don't need to underestimate that when thinking of the professional skills. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you're able to apply at least one small change with all the things that we've discussed today. And hopefully you can be more digital even on one small thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tereza. Thanks so much to Tereza for donating her time and her expertise and everything to record that and put it together, especially for the virtual summit that's happening this Thursday. It was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great. Thanks, Tereza. I think it was nice to look at a digital session and feel kind of supported that everyone's in the same boat, and having some tips as well on how to look after yourselves. And I love the point about making sure your volunteers aren't overwhelmed. That's so important.
Yeah, her stuff is always really realistic, in terms of she's talking about picking one action and, I don't think we can expect to do everything and to shift everything online and suddenly be everywhere. So it's just about picking one thing and working towards that for the time being. Nice one.
Yes. So do join us on Thursday. We have a conference. For those of you that joined in, partway through, my name is Nikki Bell, and this is Simon Scriver, and we're the co-founders of the virtual training, conference and social platform Fundraising Everywhere. And on Thursday, we are running a afternoon conference in partnership with Salesforce between 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. UK time. 2 tracks plus a bonus download library. If you're busy, there's loads of webinars at the moment, we're sure. Register anyway, because we can send you the recordings afterwards. And there's over 20 hours of content there, which has been specially put together to help you get through the COVID-19 situation at your charity. Some sessions that we've got in there are changing plans with your funders. We have a whole track dedicated to digital. How do you write a digital campaign? How do you start digital? Those sorts of things. We've got asking for legacy donations during a pandemic, which has been asked a lot. We've got things on time management, well-being, seeing the positive in change. It's great. Actually, the program's going live tonight, isn't it, Simon?
Yes, in theory it is, but no, it will be up tonight. So we'll have the full program up tonight, nearly full program tonight. Obviously, this has all been put together by Nikki and by people in Salesforce.org, and lots of other people have helped us, but it's all been very quickly put together. So yeah, the schedule, as close as the final schedule as possible, will be up tonight. And you'll find it all at fundraisingeverywhere.com/COVID-19. You can register there as well at fundraisingeverywhere.com/COVID-19. It's all totally free. You get all the access to all the live stuff for free. You get access to all the recordings and bonus downloads afterwards for free. Yeah, so really no reason to not check it out, because there's definitely going to be some really useful stuff in there for you.
Exactly. Personally, the ones that I'm looking forward to are the setting up a response task force with Rebecca Davies. I'm very much looking forward
yes,
to that.
She's great.
Ooh. Oh no, brilliant. And there's a great conversation as well that the Face-to-Face International Congress have put together around what international teams are doing with face-to-face fundraising, because obviously that's been impacted. So I'm looking forward to watching that. And the great thing about Thursday, the sessions are pre-recorded just because people's internet's dodgy at the moment. Hi, Max. There's my little boy coming in. Hello, darling.
Come here.
You want to be on? You don't want to be on the screen. That's all right. We'll shut the door, then it's okay. Oh yeah.
Did he slam the door?
No, he just walked out. So the sessions are pre-recorded, but the speakers are joining us for 15-minute Q&As after each one. So you, the viewer, will be able to ask your questions, engage with the speakers, and be involved, basically, which is what Fundraising Everywhere is all about. It's about you actually being involved in that conversation rather than just being spoken at like this.
Yeah, so if you've never been to a Fundraising Everywhere event before, you'll see that you can comment across, around the video. There's chat going on around the video. You can talk to other people. You can set up private video calls, or you can set up group chats and stuff. So just like trying to bring everything from a regular conference here, there'll still be networking opportunities, still be chance to ask the speakers questions, and then there'll be loads of great sessions. So it's worth checking out.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. And just to say again, I'm going to get it up here so that I don't forget. A huge thank you. So obviously this is Project Everyone on Thursday. So even though the conference has been curated and hosted by Fundraising Everywhere, we have had support from some amazing networks in putting together the content and network. So thank you obviously to Salesforce, Resource Alliance, Institute Fundraising, the Fundraising Association Austria, Michelle Flynn Coaching, Charity Digital, and the CEEFC. Do you remember what that was? So the Central Eastern
Eastern European.
Yes, that
fundraising.
One.
Oh yeah, that one.
Fundraising Congress. Yes.
Yes.
And Third Sector as well. For
we can edit that bit out.
Probably best.
Yes, so no, it's been great because lots of people, lots of organizations, lots of great fundraisers from around the world are contributing to this, and we're really just really grateful for everyone putting their time and energy into this. It's been such a quick turnaround time for people, but they've still done it. So thank you very much to everyone.
No, definitely. I mean, I think people got a message last Wednesday asking them to be involved, and already they've said yes and put it all together just for you. So please come along on Thursday and absorb it, connect, but leave feeling inspired. You know, there's so much great activity and best practice and insight out there. And the whole point of Thursday is to just reinstill that confidence in you that, you know, we can get through this. There's people out there that can help you. There's people out there that are already testing and trying new things. And obviously we're all at home in our own homes, you know, surrounded by normal life, as you heard. And sometimes it's just really important to connect with your peers and yeah, just feel supported to get through it. You know, we're all in this together. We want the charity sector to come out the other side and succeed. So let's join together for an afternoon of learning and inspiration, and just, you know, feel empowered to get it done.
Nice one. All right.
That's
Will we say goodbye?
Yeah, sure. I've got a band.
Someone waiting for you. Yeah, and I have to go get dinner. So thanks for everyone who tuned in. Nice to see you. Hopefully we'll see you on Thursday if you register for the conference on Thursday. We might have a couple more surprises before that anyway. So if you're not following us on social media, do. But that's it from me. Look after yourself, everyone. Take care, and see you again.
See you Thursday.
Bye.